I'm gonna be real. I don't know if this is a really valid topic anymore. Mostly because when I wrote this down in my calendar app, it was based off of a conversation that I had seen going around the Canadiens subreddit from a few days ago. This revolves around goaltending, and this all took place before we had Sam Montembeault win gold for Team Canada. Big shout out to him, by the way. Of course, the Canadiens got the championship, and Montembeault had a .939 save percentage in 7 games played, a .142 goals against. Just phenomenal numbers over there. So I really don't know if this conversation we're having in this video is valid anymore because Montembeault had that incredible showing, but I guess it wouldn't really hurt to talk about it. We're going over onto the Philadelphia Inquirer because there's an article published a few days ago talking about their goaltender, Carter Hart, and how Danny Briere said the Flyers would at least listen to trade offers for this young goalie. He says, "I'm not in a position to turn down anything," in an interview on 94.1 WIP Sports Radio. Now, this is a topic that we had sort of been thinking about for the past few weeks. We had made a video a few weeks ago as well, discussing the idea of Carter Hart going over to the Red Wings. But to hear Danny Briere himself, in the Philadelphia Flyers organization say that they would listen, not necessarily that they're going to trade the guy, but that if a trade idea does come along, they will think about it and they will listen, because this is a thing. This was posted onto the Canadiens subreddit, and they are talking all the talk about whether or not the Canadiens should go out there and do this. And spoiler alert, they're all saying this should be done. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty details, though, I wanted to give a big shout out to the sponsor of today's video. We all know that the world today is changing fast, and sometimes we could use some help staying on track. Today's video is sponsored by Neuro. They create gum and mints to energize, calm, and focus whenever you need it. It's developed by former athletes training at the highest level who didn't want to take mysterious supplements or energy drinks. Instead of something sugary and ineffective, they wanted to create clean, balanced energy that could be taken anywhere, anytime. The result? 3 different gum and mint products from Neuro. There's the Energy and Focus formula, formulated to sustain mental endurance and focus. Their Calm and Clarity formula, developed to optimize composure and clarity of mind. And their Health and Vitality formula, infused with immune-boosting vitamins to help strengthen and support your body. Neuro's gone through dozens of tests to ensure each gum and mint they make delivers on their promise of getting you in the right state at the right time. You're in luck, because LEGO Rocks 99 audience members will get 30% off their order when they use my link. Head over to tryneurogum.com/LEGO. That's tryneurogum.com/LEGO to get 30% off your order and enjoy energy, calm, and focus whenever you need it. So heading back over onto the article on Philadelphia Inquirer, this is what Danny Briere said, GM of the Flyers, on 94.1. "Most likely, Carter Hart will be our goaltender for the future, but I'm not in a position to turn down anything. I have to listen." That's essentially all that he had to say. I mean, there are some other things that are going on here with other questions and other answers, but realistically, if you listen to the radio interview, that's all he pretty much mentions in regards to Carter Hart. There's an entire analysis done on the Inquirer, but I don't think we need to necessarily do that. We can just go over to Elite Prospects and look at it ourselves. Carter Hart is a 24-year-old goaltender, so he's already getting up there in age, which is weird because I still think of him as like this teenager that was doing well at the World Juniors and that was in the NHL right away after that. 6'2", 181 left-handed catching goaltender signed till the end of 2024, making $3.9 million a year. This past season, he had a .907 save percentage and a .294 goals against, in 55 games played nonetheless, too. He's actually bounced back tremendously since those 8-7-7 days in 2020-2021. Sure, he had the best stint of his career back in 2019-20, .914 save percentage in the regular season, and a .926 in 14 games in the bubble playoffs, but we know goalies, they're like voodoo, they're up and down, they're hot and cold. Some years they'll be alright, some years they won't be. But for Carter Hart to be doing all of this at such a young age, it definitely spells great things for the next few years. However, this is a player that if the Philadelphia Flyers really wanted to go out there and start thinking about in some sort of a trade capacity, it wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world, in my opinion at least. We had already made another video talking about the Wings, and there was a lot of comments in that one expressing why the Flyers might want to trade this guy, what might a trade package look like that would satisfy Flyers fans. There were a lot of people going out there and talking about this. But this entire idea was posted onto the Canadian sub, and the top comment says this from Chris Delacris. Hughes and Gorton should be all over this for the right price. Hart has been tremendous for his first few years in the league and then mediocre on a bad Flyers team. Remember, he is still 24 years old. Most starters in the league are 27 plus, and goaltending is a need for Montreal's rebuild. You then have the replies. A tandem of Carter Hart and Montembeault could look pretty good, and yeah, I could agree with that, especially if Montembeault is able to carry over the swagger he had garnered from the World Championships. Now, obviously, you can't say that he's going to be able to do that over an 82-game campaign, but still, confidence, mojo, it all plays a part, you get what I mean. And for Carter Hart, you really need this guy to bounce back too. Maybe play in front, or not in front of, but behind, a more poised and, let's say, motivated team like the Montreal Canadiens, maybe. Who really knows? Especially if the Canadiens are going to try to start winning hockey games now after getting the first overall pick last year and the 5th overall pick this year. There are some more comments on the Canadian subreddit. They could have Carey Price teach him a thing or two as well. Hart comes from Western Canada too, right? Hart also said that Carey Price was a role model, and Hart said that during the 2020 bubble playoffs when Hart outperformed Price. Now, there are some other things to bring up, like whether or not it's actually worth it to go out there and trade for another goaltender. Do you really want to have a tandem of Montembeault and somebody else that you have to expend assets for, especially after Montembeault had the great World Championships that he had? But at the same time, it wouldn't hurt, you know? Like, if the Canadiens really wanted to say, all right, we're going to start winning now. Like, we don't want to rebuild, we don't want to lose, we don't want to go to the first overall spot again next year. It'd be nice, but we'd prefer to get things going in a positive way now. Then maybe it's a prospect or two, plus a Caden Primo, for example, that gets sent over to Philadelphia for Carter Hart. Primo is not necessarily all too young. I mean, he's the same age, I think, younger by 1 year, I'm pretty sure. And then if you add on some extra value on top of that, it could make for an actually worthwhile package to listen to. But if you really wanted to say that you're not sold on Montembeault, you're not sold on the small sample size wherein he was a fantastic goalie at the Worlds, then you could say, all right, maybe making a tandem to split the load, 41-41, 1A, 1B, Montembeault, and Carter Hart, two guys that have more to prove at the NHL level than ever before. It's an idea that philosophically makes sense when you lay it out like that, especially since goaltenders are not ever guaranteed to being good year by year. Every goalie, whether you're Connor Hellebuyck, Andrei Vasilevsky, or let's just say any of the other guys that have suited up for the Canadiens from the AHL's Laval Rocket, every goaltender has their ups and downs, and you're never guaranteed to saying that, okay, Montembeault was good at the championships, or the World Championships, so now he's going to be good at the regular season. You just cannot guarantee that. So what you need in this situation, if you're not too certain, is to have more lifelines. And if Carter Hart comes out here and acts as a lifeline, even if he puts up a 9-10 save percentage, that is all right. It's just, what's the price you're willing to pay for that? Now, it would be tough, honestly, like for Flyers fans to hear that their supposed starting goalie of the future, a guy that already had a good resume earlier in 2020, may be traded sometime soon, but that's the unfortunate ups and downs of a team that has gone through what the Philadelphia Flyers have gone through. So I want you to tell me in the comment section below, what is the max you would be willing, or not the max, the minimum that you would expect from the Montreal Canadiens in a trade for Carter Hart? Or even just a regular trade for Carter Hart with any team. What is the minimum that you would be okay with? Do you have to get a goalie coming back? Do you need that first round pick in there? How is the Florida Panthers first? That's 31st or 32nd overall, depending on if they win the cup. So is that a good enough pick to entice you to trading Hart away? You gotta remember, Carter Hart himself was not a first-round talent. He was taken in the second round in 2016. So, haha, checkmate to y'all Philadelphia Flyers fans. But all joking aside, what is your thought process when discussing a trade with this player? A first plus a prospect, a B-tier prospect, or do you need an A-tier prospect? 2 C-tier prospects, is that good enough to get it done? If you're the Montreal Canadiens, who in the organization fits that description? Do you want to force the Florida Panthers first, or do you have to resort to another first in, let's say, 2024 or 2025? Add on a player like Caden Primo, add on another prospect that you're willing to get rid of, and that's tough to find, because honestly all the prospects in the Canadiens have pretty good stories, and I think a lot of them can resonate with the fan base, especially since all the videos we've been making about these guys. It's easy to form an emotional attachment to these prospects, but either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, use the link in the description to go over to Nero and try out their gum and mints. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section about Carter Hart and this entire trade conversation. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj 9, and bye.